All right, everybody, how you doing? My name is Todd Richards, and I am with Tick, and we go out and find people who have interesting jobs, hobbies, or what some people would think is just different. And today, with me is Todd Mullins, and I believe we both graduated the same class,
Yep.
1986 from Mount Carmel High School in San Diego, California. We're coming up on our, what is that, 30 something?
Yep.
Scary. So
Yeah.
scary. Scary. So, and I've over the years seen him on Facebook and seen him here and there. And one of the, well, give us before we get there, your background. What'd you do after you graduated high school? Where'd you go? What'd you do?
After high school, I went to Palomar College for a number of years. Went in with a martial arts major, switched to photography, and eventually just wanted to get out of there. So I graduated with a general studies degree. Worked in a photo lab and portrait studio for a number of years, and eventually started working in the construction industry doing AutoCAD work,
Oh,
and
yeah.
eventually worked my way into doing designs. And now I'm working for a construction management company. So we
Yep.
go in and audit the contractors and make sure they're not ripping our clients off too badly.
Interesting. Interesting path. That's
Yeah, it's been a long, weird trip, but
well, yeah. There's some people that get out of high school and they go in a job and they stay in that thing for 35 years or 40 years and don't ever change, don't ever go anywhere, don't do anything. So it's always good to do something different, have some fun and do different things. So, but my big reason was your rocketry. How in the world did you get into, and I'm not talking the little Estes rockets you go buy at the hobby store. We're talking huge rockets.
yep, yep. Uh, I started off with the little tiny Estes model rockets from the hobby store. Got my first kit when I was 6 or 7. It was one of the rewards at school for selling the most orders of Christmas cards.
Oh yeah.
Um, and that just progressively got bigger and bigger and bigger until mid 30s. I started flying what they call high power rockets, which is every letter of the model rocket motors going up is twice the power. So hobbyists can fly up through a G motor without any kind of certification. Above that, they could start calling it high power rocketry, and you need to be certified to get the bigger motors. Um, Currently, the highest you can go for in a certification is a level 3, which will let you pretty much fly any commercially produced motor. Uh, State of California, you can only fly up through an M. Um,
Wow.
the biggest one I've ever flown is an N.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And
So
what are you pushing in altitude on those things? You got to get FAA clearance
yes, yes,
or
yeah. You
they
anything above a G motor, you have to let the FAA know you're flying. Um, Currently
wow.
in San Diego County, really there's nowhere to fly anything that big in San Diego County, so we have to go out to Imperial,
Right.
uh, Holtville specifically, and we can fly up through M's out there. Um, and the big ones that I've flown were up in Apple Valley, and that it was just nuts flying anything that big. That N was spectacular. Um, my flights really have only gone up to roughly a mile, but I know people that have flown upwards of 40,000 feet, so 8 miles.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah,
You
it's
get
insane.
you gotta yeah, that thing it disappears. You can't see it anymore. You gotta track it and
Yep, yep.
yeah, gotta get
Yeah,
out
once
all the computer stuff connected to it and GPS where the thing lands, what, 5 miles away, 6 miles away,
Yep, yep.
easily.
We were so close to the border at one point. There were a few people that were dropping theirs over the border into Mexico because
Wow.
they got high altitude winds and they just
Yep.
went away.
Oh yeah, they get up there and yeah, they're never know where they're going.
Yeah, I really don't enjoy flying anything that high because you can't see what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw something somewhere where a hobbyist they were pushing the edge of space, which is crazy.
Yep,
And then
yep.
they're putting GoPros and all kinds of cameras on it, and you see them going up that high. And I could not imagine, the one, if it goes off and does what it does, it must be spectacular. And then on the other end, it slides up the rails 10 inches or 12 inches and then explodes in a spectacular disaster. But, and I'm sure that is just a sight to behold. It just must be huge explosion that they put off.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I've ever seen a high power blow up at the end of the launch rod like that. But yeah, I've seen some spectacular failures.
Yeah.
Had some scary stuff happen because of it. Um, at one point, I was working on a rocket and getting it ready to launch, and it was like a dozen motors in the rocket, and one of them lit with
Oh,
everybody working on it around the pad.
whoa. And yeah, those
Yeah,
are big, big engines. So you just can't hold it down and, little Estes rocket, you just hold it and it'll go away.
yeah, yeah.
But
And this is hundreds and hundreds of pounds of thrust.
oh
It
yeah.
shot off 50 feet forward, hit a quad. Um, People were life flighted out with bad burns.
Wow.
I got very lucky.
Oh
The
yeah.
gentleman who got the bad burns was working across the rocket from me. Uh,
Wow.
so if I had been in his position, it would have been me.
Yeah, does that drive you away from doing that hobby, or is it just one of those things that
It's
it could happen and you just go with it?
it's one of the things that you have to accept. It was a weird fluke. It was static that
Yeah.
tripped one of the circuits and it went off.
Wow. Wow. So yeah, I haven't seen you doing it. Have you flown anything in a while or?
Um, I've not flown anything big in a while. It's been since before COVID that I've launched the big ones. But I've flown smaller stuff more recently than that. Um, the small hobby stuff we can fly here within the city. So as long as you
Yeah.
keep it under a certain altitude.
Yeah, you launch them out of football fields or baseball fields and you should be fine with those little
Yeah,
guys. So
yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's
on the over the line fields in down in
oh
Mission Bay.
yeah, Mission Bay over the line fields. Yeah, that'd be a great place to launch some big hobby rockets and stuff.
Yep, yep.
I didn't even think about, yeah, launching those down there. And we never did that down there. That'd be that'd be pretty good. We don't have to worry about that up here. We can launch them in the wintertime, and we have hundreds of miles of cornfields, so you can just launch whatever you want, and it goes and away it goes. You don't have to worry about it. So in the summertime, you'll lose it and you'll never find it again. So you gotta go find a place. But yeah, when the corn is not up yet, or just come down, we can launch things wherever we want. So, but of course, you got to go out there. Today's a nice day, but tomorrow's not going to be a nice day, and 50-mile-an-hour winds and some snow, and I just don't see myself out there
That
launching
takes the
rockets.
fun out of it.
Yeah, that takes a lot of fun out of it.
Yeah,
So, I mean, how did you find was it just a mutual acquaintance that was in a big rocket club, or um
yeah. There are two different clubs internationally. The National Association of Rocketry (NAR) and the Tripoli Rocketry Association. Tripoli is the big boys. Typically, NAR is the smaller ones, but they cross over. And for the most part, everybody plays nice together.
right,
So a lot of people do both. So you learn to go, oh, hey, he's got a big rocket. I want to do that. And there's so much more information available now on the internet, and there's simulation software that can tell you whether your rocket's going to be able to fly or not. Unlike the old days where we had to do predictive modeling by cutting out cardboard
Oh yeah.
models and seeing how they balanced.
Yeah. 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 The internet, a wonderful thing, a wonderful, scary place to hang out at. So you can find all kinds of cool stuff to do and find a lot of uncool, or, at the time could be cool
Yeah.
stuff to do too.
Yeah.
So yeah, just depends on what your idea is cool. So,
Yeah.
I did see you on a TV show. Must have been something on Discovery Channel about rockets.
Yep. Yep.
That's always interesting to be on TV or on the other side, on the camera side, because you see how things really work. It's not as glamorous as everybody thinks it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Now done a couple of TV spots with rockets. Got one of my rockets into Popular Mechanics
Oh,
a number of years back. We were doing very large scale Star Wars rockets. So there were two build teams. One of them built like a half scale X-Wing, and we built a third scale Y-Wing.
wow.
Both were unfortunately failures, but they were pretty spectacular in their failures.
Oh yeah.
Wow. It was unfortunate, but there's no way we could have predicted that everything that went wrong would have. We always do our best to try to make sure these things are safe, and you have to take into account getting the rocket far enough away from anybody that could be spectators to keep everybody safe, because you're dropping a couple of 100 pounds of rocket from a couple of 1,000 feet, and there is nothing scarier than hearing the rocket coming and not being able to see it.
Oh yeah. I can hear it. Where did it go? Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
yeah, I've experienced those in my military career. I did combat survival training, and we were out in the woods or the high deserts of New Mexico, and I could hear the elk coming, and there was a lot of elk coming, but I didn't know which way they were coming from. And it was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. They weren't running, they were just moseying along, and it was just like, I know they're coming, but I don't know where they're at. So it was a little scary not knowing what's going on. So
Yeah.
I know that feeling of, oh my God, I can hear it coming. So
Yeah.
it's
The
tough.
specific one that I was thinking of was a full scale Tomahawk sounding rocket. Not one of the Tomahawk missiles, but one that they used to do weather data with.
Oh yeah.
Someone had launched one and it got over the top, and the parachutes didn't come out.
Oh.
And all you could hear is the whistle, and
Yeah.
it slammed into the ground literally 20 feet from me, and
Wow.
turned a 25-foot tall rocket into parts that you could put into a paper bag.
Wow. Leave a big crater, good sized
No,
crater,
no, just
or just a tube that went straight down into the ground.
sounded like a giant balloon popping when it hit.
Really? Wow. That'd be scary.
Yeah.
That's some scary. Yeah. And I guess that's anything with hobbies or jobs or something like that, where there's a possibility of danger. It's always there, and you never think it's going to happen. When it happens, you're just like, oh my God, that's crazy. Why am I doing this? So
Yeah, but it's so cool that you can't
oh
help
yeah.
it but do it.
Oh yeah. Can't help it. It scares the crap out of you, and then you're like, okay, I'm alive. Let's go do it again. So I love that stuff.
The thrill of actually watching it work right.
Oh yeah.
It didn't work right, and we need to go out and rebuild it or move on to the next project.
Or the if you scrapped a rocket because it just failed and failed and failed, bunch of times you never got it right?
Usually when the big ones fail, it's a big fail, and
Oh, it's
there's not much to return. Um, we had a bunch of us that always built together for the big rockets because it helps defray the cost. And after 5 or 6 years of building projects and they either succeeded or failed, we took all of the fails and took all the parts and put them all together into one rocket.
and that
And
one failed, right?
no, that one actually, I think, made it.
Really, Frankenstein one together and
Yeah,
it did it all right. That's pretty funny.
yeah,
That's funny. So yeah, that's one of those hobbies that just seems that you see, I see about them every once in a while and pops up on some uh those off the wall YouTube channels or Discovery Channel puts something on late at night, or yeah, you can binge watch something on the Fire Stick that has some crazy channel on there, and
yep,
you go on there and there's like rockets and people are launching the big rockets out of Black Rock Desert and things like
yeah,
that, and you're
yeah.
like, wow, that's crazy. That's just it's
Yeah,
just
Black
nuts.
Rock is the big annual event.
Yeah,
I've never been to that one, but from what I hear, it's spectacular.
yeah. I think I'll watch that on TV. So I just can imagine being out there and one of those great big things just blows up, or it'd be pretty scary. Who knows which way it's gonna go? So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting a little more um I don't want to say timid, but a little bit more yep, that looks fun, but I'm not gonna go do that anymore. The older I get, no, I'm not gonna go do that. That looks fun, but nah. But if I was in my early 30s and 20s, I would have been in the line to do it right away. So
Oh, yeah, and there's again the advances are just amazing what they're doing these days. 3D printing is
oh
becoming
yeah.
huge. People are 3D printing rocket parts. Um, Guys are taking inspiration from SpaceX and landing their rockets with motors instead of parachutes, which is
Really?
just amazing.
Wow. Yeah, because that was one of the next thing I was going to ask you. What do you think about, SpaceX? We were in the generation of seeing the space shuttle go up all the time in the 80s, and it was the space shuttle was going up and it's going up, and half the time, they're like, "Oh, the space shuttle landed." I was like, "Well, when the heck did it take off?"
Yeah,
Um, and now SpaceX seems like they're launching. They launch every day or every other day, or maybe twice a month or something like that, and a rocket lands, and they're like, "Oh, this is the 100th time this rocket's landed," and you're like, "100?
yeah.
That's crazy. How many? That's gone up there 100 times." And um,
Uh,
yeah,
I, I think what they're doing is just fantastic. It's getting us closer to a fully reusable rocket that's going to be able to get us further out into space, which is amazing. It making all those science fiction movies not so
yeah,
far fetched.
no, not so science fiction-y anymore. Yeah, I like to watch the big Falcon 9 when they landed those two at the same time. They almost come down right together, and it's
Yeah,
just when it
that was
landed. I told my son he was that was what 2 years ago now. So he was in his early, I guess he was 22 or something like that. I told him, I said, this is the start of, you know, this is the start. What you're seeing right now is the beginning of this new age in space. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But now that, a couple of years down we've seen these guys go up all the time and they're landing, and he's finally starting to see these, like, this is amazing stuff. They're sending people up to the space station and picking people up from the space station. And I said, yeah, it's going to change the way that we put payloads into space and put people into space, and we're going to be able to do so much more because they're landing those boosters back down on the ground, and there's just no other way now to get anything else into space but these big rocket boosters. So
yeah.
maybe maybe
Yeah.
later on they'll figure out another way to do it, space elevator or something crazy like that. But
Yep.
as it is now, I got to load it up and yeah, light the fuse and watch it go up into the space. So yeah, I
Yep.
just think we're right on the edge watching him land. I don't know when his big rocket's gonna go. I think they said here in a couple months, but it seems
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the SLS has already flown. So,
yeah,
did you mean SpaceX's Starship?
yeah, the Starship.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen a date on that one yet.
Yeah, I have. They just keep saying, in the next couple months, and it's so it'll be gonna be pretty interesting because that's the biggest rocket ever. So I'm gonna be pretty interested to see if they one get it off the ground, and I believe they can land both rockets back on the ground again. So it'll be pretty exciting. Another one of those steps of completely changing the way we fly into space and fly in space and do stuff like that. So it's pretty exciting. Watch him all the time. I always look up to see where his car is. So where's the Roadster? So I always wanted to know where that's at. It was a great idea. Instead of just putting concrete in there, why not launch a car up there? Make a big spectacle out of it. That
Yeah.
was pretty funny. Love that. So, but
Yeah. You've always got to have more weight at the nose of the rocket than at the tail. So,
yeah, well, you can
even when you're flying the little ones.
yeah, you throw a couple throw some things in the trunk. It'll be fine. Balance it out a little bit. Um, and then your next big thing, and my oldest son is big into this, and it took me a long time to figure out why and how. I am a fan of the movies, and that is just about it. I like the movies, and I always say I don't collect things from the movies. People give me stuff. I have hundreds of R2D2s all over the house, but I don't buy any of them. People just give them to me for Christmas or my birthday, or they see it and they're like, "Oh, look here, here's a Budweiser can that looks like R2D2." I was like, "Okay, cool," but I don't. I've never gone out and bought me something. People just buy those things to me for me. But if I had to build something, I would buy it, or I'd build a big R2, a full blown, and then I figured out how much it costs, and it's like, well, probably not.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's a
And
lot.
R2 is not a cheap toy.
I know, and even his two costumes are not cheap. So we're just talking about the good old 501st. What's a good way to put it? Star Wars Cosplay Organization.
Mhm.
For people
Yep.
who do not know what it is, has to have I guess it would be screen realistic costumes.
Mhm.
Has to be approved.
Yep.
I have gone through torturous photos of two that I built for him. I don't have a costume. I ended up building um, a Tusken Raider and a Sand Trooper. And well, yeah, I guess he was a Sand Trooper. He's pretty dirty. Um, Took him off the Moss Eisley guys as they ask. These are the droids they're looking for. He looks just like one of those. I did the same patterns that guy there.
Nice.
But I mean, I don't know how he started. Just boom, he comes home with a shell of a helmet and said, "Here, make this." I was like, I don't know how to do this, and then he actually had his robes sewn for him, and I put him in coffee and tea and
Mhm.
man, something else. And man, I bet it's been 10 years and those things still stink. So they're just they smell. So you got to get them out, and I'm afraid to wash them because they might do something. But it's like
Yep.
they're so. I put those things on. It's like, oh, they stink so bad. And it's been 10 years. It's like, man, these stinks got to go away.
Yep.
So how did you get involved? I got involved by proxy and still am that way.
Well, I ended up getting into it because every every Halloween I always made my own costumes when I was a kid. And my mom taught me to sew, and
Yep.
Eventually I got into other types of costuming through friends right after high school. And then we ended up wearing the costumes to Comic-Con.
Oh yeah.
And after a number of years of being absent from that, I went, I want to do another costume and go back to Comic-Con and wear it. It's going to be fun. That was right after the new Battlestar Galactica series
Oh,
started. So they had all the really cool shiny green flight suits. And I was like,
oh,
yeah, that's what I want to build.
yeah.
And then I found out how expensive the material was and how
Oh, yeah.
uncomfortable it was to wear them.
Yeah.
So I went back to my other love, which was Star Wars, and went back to the costume that I'd built at 10 or 12, which was the Tusken Raider made out of ace bandages and
Oh yeah.
toilet paper tubes. I went, okay, I need to update that. So I started doing the research on the internet and found the 501st that way and went, oh, okay, I want to build a movie accurate one and
Yep.
do it the right way. And what's even better, then I get to go to community service wearing this crazy getup and make kids happy,
Yep.
which is fantastic. And after the first one, it just kind of snowballs and you can't stop.
Yep. Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and it's weird because there's so little crossover between the two hobbies. I only know of a handful of people that do rockets and Star Wars costumes.
Hmm. Seems like that would be a little bit more, I would think.
You would think, but
Yeah.
I guess rocket people are too stuffy to put on costumes, and
Yeah.
uh,
Hmm.
costumers are too freewheeling to get into the technical details of rockets.
Oh yeah, that's something you can't be wrong on a rocket. You get hurt doing that, but if a little buttons off here or there, what's it gonna? Well, it's not gonna hurt anything as long as it holds and does what it needs to do for a couple hours, and you're good to go. So,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
yep. I think he has. Oh, there's a gun sitting right there for the Tuscan Raider, which I need to do another one. Need to make it out of um, cedar, so it's a lot lighter, and do a PVC barrel as a metal barrel made out of pine, and then a lot of
That's going
PVC.
to be a heavy one.
It's very heavy. It's
Uh,
very,
I
very,
went
very.
aluminum shower curtain rod for the barrel on mine instead of
Oh,
plastic,
oh
which,
yeah,
which is nice and light.
yeah. No, it's you can drop it and it is not going to break. There are some parts there. As a matter of fact, there are parts off of. I had a 1940 Ford, and we always had little parts that would come off, and it's like, what does this go to? And you try to figure it out, and it's like, well, I guess it goes on a Tuscan Raider gun now, and that's where it is. So there's all kinds of little car parts on there, and people come up and they look at it and go, wow, this is a really cool gun, and it's like, yeah, and it's really, really heavy. And I usually just put it when we go out to do, um, not 501st stuff, but we go out and do like, we have a thing here called Monster Day in town, and he wears his Sand Trooper, and I wear his Tuscan Raider. And I always put it on my foot, and then I walk around with it on my foot, and because it's so heavy. And uh, but yeah, that's my next project. I'm gonna get some copper and put it on there and get it to patina up real good and make it a lot lighter. But that was my first thing that I of course I made, and of course I had to get the sewing machine out, and both those kids looked at me like I'm a freak. They're like, "How do you know how to sew?" Well, that's one of the things I did in the military is I sewed a lot of stuff, and they freak out every time I get that out. They're like, "What are you going to do with that?" I'm going to fix something. So, but so how many? So I have. I don't. They're not mine, but I have built or helped build. Well, built two costumes. Um, the gun. We didn't build the backpack for his. We had that made, but
Mhm.
it's starting to fall apart. So I'm gonna have to do some major surgery on it and get it going again. But how many costumes do you have? Um,
Oh, currently, I think I'm at somewhere around a dozen.
Oh
Got
goodness.
at least a dozen more in in the works that I've been building over the years. Um, I've got my Tusken Raider, I've got a Jawa, I've got um, a Shore Trooper from Rogue One.
Right.
I've got an ADACT driver, the cargo ADACTs from Rogue One. I've got two custom Mandalorians, um, bridge crew, scanning crew, ATST pilot, X-wing pilot. Um,
Get the orange jumpsuit with the ice cream maker runner guy.
I've got Wilro Hood.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but yeah,
Yep,
he's
Wilro's
the
the best to wear.
yeah. It's like,
Got to grow out the mustache for that. But
oh yeah, you gotta have, yeah, it's got to be that's a definite. Yeah, that's one of those ones where you see them all lined up, dozens of people all lined up with their big ice cream maker and their orange jumpsuit, and you just kind of think that's, just the guy was on screen for just a second, and everybody makes a big
yeah,
deal about it, and then speaking of Mandalorians, there it is. Guy walks up with the ice cream maker and turns
yeah,
it, and the thing opens up, and you're like, you know, what they're doing with, of course, I don't know what you thought of the last three Star Wars. I was kind of disappointed, and then they bring the Mandalorian on, and it's just crazy. And then Obi-Wan's little deal, I thought that was pretty good.
yep.
I thought they
I
could have
enjoyed
did it.
it.
Yeah, they could have did some more stuff, or they could have another season. That seems like, I always say, he wasn't batshit crazy yet, because I'm pretty sure by the time Luke was 18, he was just pretty much lost his mind out there in the desert.
Yep, yep.
So that's so I think they could do some more of that. The new Ahsoka comes out. Is it this year?
Yeah, they were saying this fall, I believe.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I watch everything I can with Favreau as he talks about what he's doing and all that stuff, and it's just like, he's the guy that's going to save the Star Wars franchise from the six, 7, and 8. 8 or 6 was good, 7 was ruined, and they tried to get 8 to fix 7. That's my thought on it.
Yep.
And it just seems like they could have did stuff better. So,
Yeah,
and
no, I think they had issues with continuity. They had directorial conflicts. It just didn't seem to go anywhere that it should have.
yeah,
I mean, you can't complain about new content, no matter what what it is. So
yeah, no, and it's just, it seems like these little short things coming out there with the Mandalorian, and Obi-Wan's was great, and Ahsoka's. I haven't watched too many cartoons.
mhm.
Um, and
the
my yeah
the
my
Bad Batch is fantastic.
yeah he gets on me all the time. You need to watch the Bad Batch, and it's just like, well, I'll get to it. It's on Disney Channel, and I'm going on vacation here in 11 days. I'm going to fly to Italy. It's been 14 days in Italy, and I have 2 very long plane trips coming up, so I could probably
Well,
cram in 9 hours worth of the Bad Batch,
well,
and get
I would
get
do
a,
it.
yeah
Uh,
get.
if you've not watched Andor yet, that is
Oh no, that's forgot about that
fantastic.
one. Yeah, I forgot about that.
I
I
would recommend that over Bad Batch. Uh,
really,
yeah,
yep.
by far my favorite TV show that's come out so far.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I thought, even with Rogue One, I thought was great, is like, how are you going to make a movie? We know what's going to happen, and it was really just what one sentence on the scroll, and Mon Mothma talked about it for like a sentence there, maybe 2 sentences, and you're like, how are they going to make a movie out of 3 sentences? We know what's going to happen. All these people are going to die, and we're going to get and they pulled it off, and it was a great. We got to see a lot of great characters, and
Mhm.
yeah, completely forgot about Andor. That was great. Um, yeah, so I'm excited about. I guess it'll be season 2 for that one,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and the way that they're able to film is just, watch a lot of stuff on how they film in what do they call it, the volume, and
Yeah, yeah,
how
it's
that's how that's
amazing.
how it's changed the way filming is going, and it's just fantastic. So yeah, the whole thing with um Favreau, I guess he did that with the Lion King when he did
Uh-huh.
that live action with that, and it's just like, we're looking at a movie making revolution
Yeah, yeah,
happening, and if they're able to pump out these um, TV shows, once a week, granted, I'm sure they just film the whole thing all, one right after the other, and make it a big movie. They film it like that instead of
yeah.
weekly series, but still, it's one of those things where, they're putting out 4 different shows, 5 different shows, and it's just amazing stuff that we're seeing from the Star Wars. And of course, I imagine you look at the latest one where we see a crossover finally from, what was that? The cartoon was the big
Oh,
blue guy,
Rebels.
Rebels, yeah. And
Yeah,
finally, as soon as he walked on screen, I knew exactly where it was from. And it's
yep.
like, wow, we're starting to see some some other crossover stuff. And I just imagine, you watch an episode, or you see something and you're like, oh, I'm going to make that costume
Oh, yes.
after your 9 or 10 other ones you already have in a
Yeah,
line. So
yeah, that's the problem.
I I see that with, my son comes in and says, my oldest, he's in his early 30s, and he goes, hey, can you make this for me? And I was like, no, but you can buy it. you, you
Sometimes it's easier.
yeah. He,
I have my um, costume that I bought. That's the prisoner uniform from Andor. That
oh
was
yeah.
just easier to buy than
Oh yeah. He's what's
I could
the
have made it. But why?
yeah.
Somebody's. It's worth it to
Yep.
just have it show up on my doorstep.
He's doing something with Ren. I don't remember what, I think that came out of the comics and some video games.
Hmm.
And he has this mask. I don't see it here. And he's waiting for the armor to be built from some guy that got real sick twice, I believe, with COVID.
Oh
And
no.
so he's a little bit backlogged. So it'll be interesting to see that. And I always tell him, I said, some of these costumes you need to be kind of a tall person to be strutting around in some of these costumes.
Yeah.
And um, you're not 6 foot, so you're not going to look imposing. Um, like I always go back to, we did Boo at the Zoo and at the Denver Zoo, and I would help the stormtroopers back and forth when they'd get tired, and we'd go into
Sure.
this we'd go into this building, and the guy that played Darth Vader, he's 6'5", I think, and um, I went in there to get somebody's stuff, and his wife was helping him, and he looked at me and kind of leaned back a little bit because Darth Vader turns his head and looks at you, and he has a mic in there, and he says, "Take me, take me out to everybody," and you're just like, "Okay, yep, let's go, come on." And stormtroopers, you bring them in, and they crowd around, and so I'm just kind of helping him out. I said, "Okay, the door's here. You need to duck, and there'll be 2 steps." And he just kind of reaches out because he can't see it, and I go down the 2 steps and make a turn, and all the people just part, and away we go. And they just, kind of say, "Okay, we're going to go downhill to the right. There'll be a step there." And downhill, and and he just kind of nods and stuff. But it's so funny to see, he's just a guy in this costume, but people
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
out of the way. They don't get near him. They don't talk to him. Part the Red Seas part, and people let him go by. And stormtrooper will come, and they all get around and want their picture taken with him. But yeah,
Yeah.
Darth Vader coming
Vader
in.
was probably the hardest costume I ever had to wear.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's
I had one for a couple of years, and it was just physically
yep,
extremely difficult.
yep, yep.
Um, it was probably 20 pounds worth of cape and
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
10 pounds of helmet and shoulder armor. And you're working on 4-inch platforms inside the boots that have 2-inch
yeah.
heels.
Yep.
Because I'm not anywhere near 6'5".
Yeah.
So
Hitless.
I had to boost my height any way I could.
Yep.
Uh, I would look through the bare bottom of the lenses for the eyes because they would sit here
Oh,
just so I could wear the helmet taller,
just to make it look so it
just to
looks
make me
really
a little taller.
just to be a little bigger. Yeah. Yep.
Uh,
I just yeah, he keeps getting after me. You need to get a costume. It's like I don't even know what I would pick. There's a gazillion billion stormtroopers and
you know,
just what we need is another stormtrooper. It,
and I don't know about your garrison, mountain garrison, right?
yep, Mountain Garrison. Yep. Yep.
Uh, but we don't have that many stormtroopers down
Re-
here.
really?
We've got 20 or 30 maybe out of 120,
Wow.
which is funny because one of the guys that makes the stormtrooper armor kits is here in our garrison. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
We'll go to an event and there'll be 40 stormtroopers and in some form or another. And which it's always interesting when they all come out together. You're just like, oh, 'cause people look at that and go, well, there's 40 stormtroopers coming at you. And that's a little
yeah,
movie imposing kind of thing is seeing that many come at you. Um, but yeah, it's just like, I don't know what I would do. I don't want to do another stormtrooper. Nobody has the shore trooper around here, and I really like that
the,
that
the,
that
the shore
look.
trooper is probably my favorite these
Yeah, it has
days.
just an awesome look to him. And then yeah, I just you see all of like the last episode of The Mandalorian. It's like, oh, some of those pirate guys were pretty cool. That'd be pretty fun to wear some of those. And
Yeah, yeah.
um, there's all this, and it's just like I could make up my mind. So it's just almost easier not to, not because I'll have 25 or 30 of them, and they are not cheap. None of it is
No,
none
no,
of it is cheap. It's not, you go down to you probably go to Hobby Lobby or a fabric store and have to buy, just godly amounts of fabric to sew stuff up. And
yeah, yeah.
and some people don't, yeah, some people don't realize, that well, like his Tusken Raider helmet, I couldn't make that. So we ended up having some guy in Denver build it for us and make it for us. And that was $280 for that. And it's beautiful. And we just,
Yeah.
keep real good care of it and keep the leather nice and, you know, pliable. And so it doesn't get all cracked and you just keep care of it and it's going to last a long time. And yeah, I know we have the guys here, Faraway Creations. They do a lot of stuff. So,
Yep.
uh, um, yeah, I went over to his place and we built I don't even know if I can say that. Well, it's over there. Built a full size race speeder that is at one certain Disney park. And I just remember walking in. He's like, "Well, if you want to help," and on the washer and dryer was these NDAs, and we're like, you ask him, "Well, what's in there?" Well, you read that and sign it. You can go in, and you read all this stuff, and it's pretty much they're going to kill you and take you out back and set you on fire, and then when they're done with you, they're going to split your body in 1,000 pieces and bury you all over the planet, so nobody will ever find you. And then at the very bottom, it said the Walt Disney Corporation. And you're just kind of like, oh man, I don't want to do this. And so you sign it and he opens the door and there's this full size speeder staring you right in the face. So
Well,
that was amazing. And I go over there every once in a while. He's quite a ways away, and to be able to see an artist who can just pull that. They made a full size bantha, and I wouldn't even know where to begin how to make something like that, and they did it. So it's always interesting to go over there.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
always he's always trying to get me to come over and work. I was like, man, I'm not an artist. I would just glue crap together and I could sew and I can do the little stuff and I can imagine some things but they don't even do that. They mass produce all that stuff. So
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, and we're working on getting the costume standards together for all of the Tuscans from Book of Boba Fett.
oh yeah.
I'm on the team that's helping do that.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
chieftain is my new
Yep.
obsession.
Yep. I told him I that was the one I went first. I said I would do that one or the one girl from Solo had the cool helmet and big beads and stuff on. I can't remember the name of that one, but it was the
Oh,
protagonist in
Enfys Nest. Yes,
Infant's Nest.
I'm
Yep.
working on an Enfys as well.
I love that one. It's so cool. Got lots. I like doodads, so look got a lot of doodads and a lot of things hanging off. And yeah, the Tuscan chief. Everybody's all different colored on
Yep,
him, and he's got a lot of same thing, doodads all over him and stuff like
yep.
that. So that's what one I want to do. And he's like, okay, why don't you do it? And I was like, oh, no, I'd rather go to Italy. So
Yeah, yeah. It's not a cheap hobby.
no, it's probably about the same cost to make one of those as my whole complete trip to go over there is probably, you're probably talking 5 grand or so getting all the little, unless, and I don't have a 3D printer. If I had a 3D printer, I could just print all the
Yep,
little things hanging off and all
yep.
the little doodad things. And that's all I would make is just little doodads. I'd
Yeah, no,
put,
I've got the 3D printers all
oh,
running almost all the time now.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I, that's one of those things. If I cross that little bridge, it's over. So I
yeah,
tend not to stay when I would rather I'd rather have movie cars. So my
sure.
biggest car that I want the first one I'd go after is the Scooby Doo, make a Scooby Doo van because it's pretty cheap to get an old Falcon or something like that. It'd be really easy to get one of those. Let's paint a Scooby Doo car.
Yep,
And I said the next one I would get would be the Ghostbusters 1953 Mercury, and of course a 53 Mercury in a bad condition is going to cost about $75,000. So, and yeah, I research it and look at stuff and talk to these guys. I don't talk about hear interviews and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I've spent $180,000 to get this car up to the standard where they can drive it around and stuff." And it's just like,
well,
yep, I could buy another house with
yeah, yeah.
at least out here in the middle of nowhere in Colorado. We had another house for the cost of that car. But
Well, I
I,
mean, luckily, being able to build a lot of this stuff myself,
oh
it
yeah,
it helps keep the cost down. But some of them you just can't avoid.
oh
If
yeah,
you want a Chewbacca, it's going to cost you five
yep,
grand in materials.
oh yeah,
Uh,
easy,
and then you've got to latch hook an entire
yeah, no,
bodysuit with yak hair.
yeah, no, not gonna happen. Nope,
I've seen guys that do it, and it's spectacular the results they get. But
yeah,
no, I'm not
no,
gonna. There's some things I won't do.
yeah, yeah. It's an interesting hobby. I do like that when he goes to the children's hospitals and things like that around here, and he's been on some children's hospitals little YouTube channels, and it's just amazing. And with him, he's a extreme introvert. He's just doesn't talk to people and doesn't do things. And he puts that helmet on and that he puts all that stuff on, and he's kneeling down talking to kids. Well, he doesn't kneel down in his stormtrooper. He doesn't do much in his stormtrooper. I keep trying to tell him, you know what, I can probably take out a little here and take out a little there and grind this down. And so you might be able to sit, not very well, but you might be able to sit. And he's nope, I'm not going to change it. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, he puts that costume on and becomes a completely different person, talks to people, and it just
yeah. It
it's
allows the introverts out there to
yeah,
become
yeah,
someone else by putting a different mask on than they
yep,
normally wear.
yep, and
I was exactly the same way. I
yep,
hated talking to people, and now look at me.
yeah. Well, yeah, you get into something like that, and it's just it's amazing to see the transformation because we went to go see a couple things and he would put that stuff on. And um I like the Tuscan Raider because I like to scare the crap out of little kids, and they don't come near you at all. And of course I point at them, it's kind of hard to see through, you're looking through even smaller toilet paper tubes, and you
Yeah.
really have to get yourself looking at what you're doing. And then I point at them, and all the little kids back away, and they all take pictures with him and all his other buddies, and I just stand off there by myself. And they're like, "Hey, come over here and take a picture with him." And the kids are like, "No, no, no." The adults, people who are our age that grew up on Star Wars, and they're there. Oh, come on, take a picture. Put the helmet, or put the gun over your head, and
Do the
yeah,
thing, do the
do the
thing.
thing. Yep. And I I keep telling them I'm going to put some pads and Naugahyde all the pads in there like we used to put on helmets because it's so uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
and
yeah,
uh and I said I might be able to put some little fans in there, blow some air, and
yeah.
put them.
There's not much room in there for anything.
Oh, I could squeeze some stuff in there. That's where I would, coming out of the military, I could put all kinds of crazy things in there.
Yeah, I mean, I put a fan into my Tuscan for like one parade, and it cut down the amount of air that I actually. So it was. I just ripped it back out.
Oh yeah.
I have
Yep.
an extreme amount of trouble hearing over white noise. So as soon as I had a fan in there, I couldn't hear
Oh
anything.
yeah. Yep. I told them, I said I could take and just like these little speakers, just put some speakers in there
Yeah,
and then put some microphones on the outside of it. So when somebody's over here talking, it comes in this side so you can turn to see. Because people like, they come up to you and it's like, can I take your picture? And you can't hear them,
yeah,
can't hear
yeah,
anything. And I just stand face the same direction and let the people move around me. So, um, if they want to take a picture, but, I just, yeah, it's been really good for him. And he keeps telling me, you need to make one of these. And I've told him, as soon as I saw that Tuscan Raider chieftain come out of the tent, I was like, that's it. That's the one I want right there.
yeah.
And,
He
and,
is the coolest.
yep. So yeah, I knew that didn't know it was going to be you that was going to put it together, but, yeah, I just keep wanting to see what the requirements are going to be. And then I might go after.
Yeah,
And
we're very close to having it finalized now. I am not going to be the first one to get it done. There is somebody that we're working with and working to finalize him as our first in the Legion. Uh, so unfortunately, I would love to be it to be me, but better to get the costume standard done and
yep.
get it
Oh
out
yeah.
there. I
Yeah. I almost wonder if, I know that they had a bunch of 501st guys on the Book of Boba. No, no, that was on the Mandalorian.
was Mandalorian and Kenobi.
Did and Kenobi? Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
a
just
bunch of our
wondering if,
guys from San Diego got to do Kenobi, which was really spectacular.
yeah, I was just wondering if somebody would just say, write John Favreau or somebody and say, can we get pictures of this costume so we can make this an enough, official kind of thing?
Yeah,
Because
yeah. I have reached out to the costume designer
right,
for Book of Boba, and she graciously said that she would help us any way she could. I
right,
don't know if that's going to be pictures or
yeah,
confirmation. Um, really, the hardest part for us at this point is he's got a piece of armor
yeah,
under that robe, and we have no idea what it completely looks like.
yeah. That's
It's,
one of those things where you say, "Can I please come up there and take a look at that whole costume?" I'm sure they have it hanging somewhere, and just
I'm sure
take,
it exists somewhere.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, take gazillion pictures of it, and yeah, all that stuff. So that would be
Yeah.
one of those.
Well,
And
and it was the costume was at Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim,
oh, was it?
and
Wow.
it was in extremely low light, and
Oh,
it was 10 or 15 feet back behind the rope, so we couldn't get
yeah.
super close pictures of it.
Wow.
But it was great. They put some things together wrong on it.
Oh,
Uh,
that's bad when, yeah, you've
oh,
you've you've studied it so much when they put it out on display, you're like, that's wrong.
he's got a piece of armor on his left arm, and they put it together so it was on the right arm,
Oh,
and they put it on upside down so we could actually see the part that was up under the robe.
Well, that helps.
So that was big
Yeah.
help.
Yeah. Yeah. They do a mistake and you can get some pictures off of it. Yeah. So that's, yeah, I've been to some Star Wars things where they, you little things at the art museum where they bring all the costumes and models and stuff. We went and looked at all those, and that's just amazing stuff. So yeah, it's always yeah, just always waiting for something new to come out, and you never know what it's going to be, and then it'll be like, okay, I want that one, and then it's like, okay, how the heck am I going to build?
And that's why I've got 12 that are started and not finished.
Yeah,
You,
well, oh yeah,
you get the excitement and then it
yeah.
tapers off
Well,
as the
because then
next one.
it's, then it's the how much is this going to cost? One of it, yeah, yeah. It's just that cost and time and all those things keep building up, and you're just like, oh, maybe I'm just not that excited about doing it. It looks cool, but I'll wait till somebody else does it, see what they do. But yeah, I'm
Yep.
sure the 3D printers would be amazing to print a big chunk of that costume off right away.
And
So
the cost of printers these days is fairly reasonable, and you get good quality results from even hobbyist
yeah,
solutions these days.
yep,
Uh, but yeah, those get stupid expensive quick as well.
yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things of, I would love to have a 3D printer, but then that would be the end. It would be over, and I would be making all kinds of crazy stuff. I see stuff on YouTube all the time. It's like, oh, that'd be cool. I'd like to make that. And then it would be one of those things. So, what are you doing down there? Nothing.
Why
Make
do you need 14 Captain America helmets? I don't
yeah,
know, but I printed them.
yeah, because they're cheap and because I can make them. And yeah, it would be all. I'd be printing up all kinds of things, spiders. Yeah, I'm a big Halloween thing, so I'd be printing up all kinds of stuff for Halloween. Just dismembered hands and things that I can put in the ground and spiders and all kinds of crazy stuff for things like that. So, but yeah, I try to stay away. I know it's gonna come. I'm gonna buy one, and that's gonna be it. And I'm gonna be emailing you all the time. Do you have this file? Do you have a file?
Yes, I do.
Yep. Yeah, I'm sure you do.
I have too many terabytes of
Just
files sitting on my hard drives just waiting to be printed.
yep. So yeah, that's yeah, I'm just waiting for some stuff. I would think I would prefer to go fishing right now. I think that's one of those I'm ready to retire and get all my disabilities out of the military and pay some things off. And I think I will go fishing in the mountains a lot more than probably anything else. And then I'm sure I'll get tired of that and want to go do something else. So,
Yeah, I mean, I figure I've got at least a decade left in this before I have to start wearing Jedi robes. And
oh yeah, before you get, yeah, because yeah, wearing that Tuscan Raider, it's like, man, I am too old for this crap. It is
yeah,
so hot in here. It is so hot in those. Yeah, it's what three robes,
yep,
and then I usually just wear shorts and then the galoshes. Your
yeah,
feet just sweat like crazy, and you're in shorts and t-shirt,
yeah.
and you're just like, this is ridiculous. I need to get something that's a little bit lighter, a little bit more breathable. And it's like, what is that going to be? It's like somebody with a flight suit and a helmet,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's like yeah, or Jedi or something like that. But
Hopefully, eventually, I can get the Count Dooku in his pajamas costume together.
yep, yep, something that yeah,
That one
something
looks comfortable. I could wear that.
yeah, something that's nice and light and easy. Don't have to sweat like crazy in those things. But yeah, it's an interesting hobby that I was kind of drug into. Can you make this? Um, yes, yes, I can. And then he brings all these robes in. Can you make these darker and ugly and stained? How am I going to stain these things other than running them in the dirt? So you just look it
I,
up.
I cleaned my barbecue with mine. So
Oh yeah, that would be a good idea, especially like on the sleeve underneath with the elbows. That would be a good idea to do those. But yeah, I would just get some old coffee grounds and just dip them in there and or paintbrush them on there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, no, I've got to get mine dirty again. It's starting to get too clean.
yeah, I can't have it too clean.
Uh,
Yep.
because
So
yeah, I
yeah.
sweat so much in it that I have to wash it every time. It's just
Uh,
horrendous.
oh yeah. Yeah, it has to be washed, yeah, several times a year, and it's slowly starting to lose its smell. But usually when you open up the box, it's like, oh, I think that just the inside of the box smells from being in there. Oh, you just open up, it's like, oh my God, it stinks. And everybody around you, you open that thing up and everybody looks at you like, God, did you fart or something like that? It's like, nope, it's the box. It stinks.
I accidentally put mine away when it was slightly damp once,
Oh
and
yeah.
2 or 3 months later, it was. I had to make a new version of the costume because it was moldy and
Mold. Yep.
just awful.
Yep. Nope. It's fun stuff. I do enjoy going out to help with that stuff, but unfortunately, and I haven't been for a couple of years, we didn't seem to have a very good troop wise going. You had to have a kit to be a handler. So it's
Hmm.
like, well, why'd you do that? So it's changed hands a couple times. So maybe they're not doing that anymore. It's like I don't want to dress up and do that stuff. I'll help
Yeah,
everybody get dressed and make sure they're pointed in the right direction and they know where the steps are and off they go.
keep them from wandering into traffic.
Yeah. Yeah. Even from wandering off. Yeah. Especially at the zoo where they wander off and hit a planter and boom, down they go. And
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
want them to do that because they can't see where they're going. So I always enjoyed doing those things. But yeah, some people get that leadership role in this, just let it go to their head. And
Yes,
it's,
yeah.
I try to tell them, you know what, this is a military organization and it should be run like a military organization because that's how it's structured and all that other stuff. And nope, they
No,
just,
it's a charity costuming group.
well,
We're
yeah,
dressing up as plastic spacemen. So,
yeah. And it's, it's two or three people that just dictate everything from the top and ruin all the fun for everybody else. So we just kind of go off and do our own thing. We'll have the Rockies Star Wars night at the Colorado Rockies. So we'll probably go do that one.
yeah.
And they'll do some things at the children's hospitals around here, and every once in a while, the orchestra down in Denver does a big John Williams Star Wars night. So we'll go down and do that one too. So, but other than that, Wyoming's closer than Denver, and Wyoming, unfortunately, is part of the mountain garrison, and Wyoming's trying to branch off to be their own entity. But Cheyenne's their biggest city, and the biggest city in the county that I live in is bigger than the state capital in in Wyoming. So
Yeah,
there's not a lot of guys up there, even though there's an Air Force base up there. There's just
yeah,
not a lot of people that are interested in doing that stuff. So unfortunately, they have to stay back down in the mountain garrison group. So, but we try to go up there and support them to get all their stuff done. So, but yeah,
yeah,
an interesting hobby. It's something that I don't know if it's I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain to people who are not Star Wars. I don't know if you'd call them fans or fanatics. I mean, more the fanatic side of, you watch it over and over and over. I mean, I have a Star Wars record, and I told them that was before before videotapes. I have a record, and that's how we we when we went and saw the movie, you went home and you put the record on, and it's the whole dialogue of the whole movie. And
yeah.
yes, I can repeat episode 4 word for word, blaster noises when they need to happen and all that stuff. So yeah, it's just a wonderful thing to see people go to the children's hospitals and
Yeah.
doing those things.
Really, for me, that's what's kept me in it
Yeah,
is being able to go out and do the community and charity events
yeah,
that to give something back to the community in a way that I find interesting.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, yes, I could go out and build houses, I suppose, but
Yeah.
they'd be bad houses for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
So
Yeah. No.
it's good that I can go out and help kids that are sick and help them to forget their troubles for an hour or so.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's always been interesting to see all the things that he comes up with and says, he's dragging it. Well, he doesn't live here anymore, but what do we got over here? Nope, I do have all his stuff still here. It's just right on the other side of the computer. I see the stormtrooper box and the backpack, and I don't know where his gun is. It must be in that big Pelican case. And yeah, he'll come here and load it all up, and it's like, where are you going? Well, we're going to a children's hospital, or we're going to a charity event, or we're going to these events, and I go to those events with him, and he's come out of his box, and it's probably one of the best things that he's ever come across and decided to do. And he wasn't a sports kid, and it's been fabulous to watch him be able to do that stuff. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that do it that were the same way. Didn't Couldn't imagine themselves standing up in front of 1,500 people and standing on a stage and having to talk for 40 minutes to an hour about stuff. But they put that costume on and they'll stand in front of all those people. Maybe not say anything, but they would get up on stage and stand in front of those people. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yep. And I'm coming to San Diego in June, so maybe I should come over and see your stuff.
Yeah, we should definitely work something out.
Yeah. Are you down in downtown or are you in North
Well,
County?
I'm about as far north as you can get. I'm Oceanside,
Oh, I was gonna
so
say
I'm
you're
right
in
next to Camp Pendleton.
you're in the slide then. Oh, yeah, all that stuff up there. Well, still, my mom lives in Penasquita, so I have to go paint her house. So the last one of us, my niece is going to graduate from Mount Carmel High School. She'll be the last one. So we're all going to get all our T-shirts that say the class of, and I'll be the oldest, 86, and then right down the line to her. So there's, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. She'll be the seventh one to graduate from Mount Carmel High School.
That's
So
nice.
it's kind of cool. So, but
Yep.
yeah, my son graduated from a little town we're in here in Eaton, Colorado, and he was the first class to go over 100 people at 110. And
Wow.
it's like we had over 600, and my
Yep.
sister-in-law's class had over 1,000. And it's just like before they built San Bernardino or Rancho Bernardo High School. So,
Yep.
yep. So yeah, it's interesting stuff. But yeah, I just think what the 501st does is amazing. Um, the people that do all the costuming, and then of course you get the rebel side and all those guys. They'll look real good, and the 501st guys that look fantastic, and then you get your whole robotics guys that have all these crazy robots that droids everywhere and stuff like that.
Yep.
It's just amazing organization that does, what does it say, bad guys doing good things or something like that. So
Yep.
um absolutely amazing stuff. I wish that more people would do it. And of course, I don't think a lot of people have a lot of money to do those things, but I think that the support that um and the love that you get when somebody comes running up to you and and you don't and I never feel it. I don't know they're coming. All of a sudden I got an arm around me and they're giving me a big hug. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And I just stand there and for some reason I smile. And I know it's not going to come out on the picture, but I
Yep.
smile every time. But yep, amazing stuff. So yeah, just to learn to see what makes Todd Mullin tick is interesting. Shooting rockets and obviously running your three printers. That's a whole different a whole different thing all by
Yep.
itself. But you're making probably all 501st parts and things like that right now. So at least I would assume that's what you're making. So
Yep.
yep. So yes, thanks for indulging my curiosity, and hopefully other people will find this interesting as well.
Absolutely.
And and Yeah. Yeah, thanks. And when we get close to heading out there, I'll give you shoot you a message and tell you when we're going to be there. And
Right?
it would be interesting to come and see all the costumes. Like I always run across people and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got 5 costumes. Really? Can I see them?" And we go and look at them to see how they're made and how they're constructed. And it's always interesting to see those
Yeah,
things.
absolutely.
So interesting stuff, fun stuff, interesting stuff. Just kind of off the wall. Not a lot of people. Well, a lot of people do it, but that's not a lot. And it's always was fun to watch the Star Wars people pick on the Star Trek people that would be across the way. And I don't never see them anymore. So I think the Paramount got a hold of them and told them to stop. So you don't usually see a big group of them together like that anymore. So, but it was always fun to watch those guys get picked on, even though I love those movies too. So,
Yep.
but it's good stuff. So yeah, thank you very much for coming on and
My
enjoyed
pleasure.
the conversation. And still don't hear your printers going off. It must have stopped, or I don't hear any.
It's still running. It's got about 14 hours left on this print.
Oh, 14. Yep, nope, don't hear it, which is always good. Um, but yeah, thanks a lot, and I'll be talking to you later. But yeah, thanks for coming on and indulging my curiosities.
Absolutely. Thank you
All
for
right,
having me.
you bet.